sometime, the position of secretary, every person you ask, there's a different opinion on what we're supposed to do. Mr. Lin has taken a leadership role in this and reached out and gotten another opinion that was different than everyone else's.
Oh, God.
The language we can put on the agenda, it can come from whatever they determine at the bylaws committee this Thursday. Mr. Lin, Mr. Luna, and Mr. Robbins are actively seeking a resolution to all of this. But the way we could put it on the election of a new secretary, or the same secretary.
Or assistant, as we
All we
did.
have to do is follow the by rules. The bylaws, those are our laws, and we have to follow them. Whatever they said, you don't have to call anybody, you have laws in the books, those are our books. You have to follow those rules. Unless you wanna amend it,
Exactly.
otherwise, those are the rules. You don't have to call downtown,
If you
don't
amend
go
it for one, you
uptown.
gotta amend it for everybody, because it's
You
unfair.
follow the bylaws, those are our rules.
So,
Well,
what was the answer to that, George?
it sounds good. It sounds really good, and I'd like to, but we still have to loop in Dunn in the city attorney's office. So let's put something entirely generic on the agenda for next week, and then see what the committee comes up with on Thursday.
George, the only time you have to loop, if you don't understand what the bylaws,
Or you want the ruling on
Reads.
something.
I mean, if two or three people read the same thing and they'll come with the same conclusion, they don't understand what it said, then you have to loop them in.
And they-
But if it's on black and white and everyone understands what it says, there's
Everybody-
nothing to loop in. Those are the laws.
The only problem,
Until such time that you change those laws.
the only problem is everybody interprets it differently.
Well, but it doesn't matter, because the city attorney or attorneys and Dunn, as is, the VNNC is created by city ordinance.
Right?
Yes,
that's what it
by
looks like.
charter.
Charter.
Dunn is what, bureaucrats?
Well, they are
They're the
head
governing
of-
body.
They're the governing body of us.
Whoopee, so,
It's
I
their
mean,
job.
they have no authority to give a legal opinion about anything. If I have a choice between a city attorney and not the city attorney on a legal opinion, I'm going with the city attorney.
Well, yeah.
They have
except don't
attorneys
always
within
agree.
Dunn.
But
What
they,
is the city
yeah,
gonna
they
say?
do.
Our attorneys don't know what the hell they're talking about?
They've done that.
A lot
but
of
no.
times, a lot
Yeah,
of
they might,
times.
yeah, okay,
But no, but seriously, they have their own attorney there too, plus they have to also answer to the commission that's over the neighborhood councils too. So it gets really difficult because everybody seems to view the issue in a different way. That's the
Well,
problem,
look, there's
like
the legal way
George
or the
said.
not legal way, and
Well,
if
we
they don't know
agree.
what the hell that is, that sounds more like their
Well, like-
problem than our problem.
Well, like,
Don't forget, there's 95
said.
neighborhood councils.
Six.
96
And there's
now.
95
96.
different bylaws.
Yeah, that's true.
Every
But
neighborhood council have their own bylaws.
That's true,
There's
because
a general
it,
pattern to things, though.
well, they do, but there's,
The city
there,
attorney may
it's
suggest.
demographics and whatever too, but bottom line, there are some specific things that aren't supposed to change, but they do. And we are supposed to go by our bylaws because that's what they're there for.
I thought Mike Fuhrer is our city attorney.
He
All I know
he
is, I
is.
wrote the city attorney and I got an opinion.
I thought it was Loretta
He's-
Lynch.
He's
got an
the
opinion,
fellow
and-
for whom we
How many
voted,
opinions are out
but
there?
he's got some assistants under him that we
Oh.
deal with
I didn't know that.
over
He's
here.
got 1,000 deputies, all right?
Yeah, he's got a lot of deputies.
Oh, I
and
see.
So that's what we were trying to say, is
Oh.
that Mr. Lynn spoke to one deputy, George has spoken to another deputy, I've spoken to one, Howard's spoken to one. I mean, everybody gets a different opinion
Well, I've
because-
never spoken to any of them.
Oh, I have. And they all
I
have.
got a written response from the
Oh.
city attorney's office.
Okay, anyway, they all have
Which I
different
sent.
opinions, so it drives you crazy. So which one do you follow then?
Confusing.
They don't
So look,
agree with
we're-
each other.
There's a law, it's called common sense.
Yeah, I go, hey, I'm with that
Okay,
one.
so, when everything else fail, that's the law we
Follow
should
your
adhere
bylaws.
to.
All right, so let's
Cover
just,
this.
let's put this on the
Okay.
agenda. The VNNC to receive advice from Dunn, the city attorney's office, and the Government Affairs and Bylaws Committee on the secretary's position. The VNNC to accept recommendations and act on their response. And then that way we can see what the committee comes up with on Thursday, and we'll address it next week. Do I have that's
Second.
my motion on the floor. Mr. Lazarovich seconds it.
Did the secretary have made a comment before?
Of course, what's going on?
I take a more an extremely multiple viewed look at this. I did write the city attorney for my own interest, but as I say, since I got an opinion and everybody else got an opinion, then it is a fair question what the real opinions are. As I say, I got an opinion that even suggested I could have a waiver vote. You know, that I could ask if you guys wanted me, as happened in the original meeting. However, I'm willing to put up with this and see where this leads.
Like that.
By being, still, as I say, when I got a discussion that you guys could still do a waiver vote and extend my term, I don't know where the city attorney got that, I didn't bribe him. He came up with it himself.
I hope
It
not.
would, we would have to change the bylaws.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
is not simply a
That's not-
waiver vote. It is a change of the bylaws.
Correct.
The
And that
city
takes a
attorney,
while.
though, well, we need to ask the city attorney, that's the one who told me.
So what-
We have section 4, term limits.
What were we doing, or what did we think we were doing at the September meeting?
Well, we were doing the elections, which we normally do,
Yeah,
and then the year before, we had 2 commissioners with different opinions. So we don't know what to do, that's why we keep,
If I can
Actually,
refer
else.
to the bylaws, section 4,
You have to.
terms and term limits. Terms of office for the directors shall be 4 consecutive years. No director shall serve on the board for more than 5 consecutive terms. If a director has served 5 consecutive terms, the director cannot serve on the board again for at least 2 years.
that's the executive board.
But then we had questions that Dunn kept changing terms, and I even heard a discussion from George. George needs to go back and revisit his own discussion with me when he suggested that there was a sunset to these things, and that the sunset kept moving farther and farther
Yeah,
and
because
farther
the
as
bylaws were
Dunn
changed
kept
by
coming
Dunn,
up with
but we didn't
ideas.
accept them.
So, I got that from George. I didn't make that up. Here's another
I'm
example of
happy
things I
to
got
get
from
to the
other
bottom of
people
it.
that I
We
didn't make
have
up.
gotten to the bottom of it. I've gotten an absolute ruling from the city attorney that I forwarded to everyone on this board.
Yeah. Oh.
What does the ruling say? in so many
The
words?
ruling says that unless the bylaws are changed,
yeah.
Those are the bylaws, those are the laws, you gotta follow
these are
those
the laws that
That's-
we
America
have
can
agreed
change
to.
them. Yes,
And unless the bylaws are changed,
I agree with you.
So that's what we have to
then
do.
we have to adhere to these laws.
And so therefore,
Okay.
we have to.
We don't have an argument on that.
action.
Yeah,
So the one way around it that everybody seemed to agree was okay, which wouldn't require a change to the bylaws, is have Stacy be elected as the assistant secretary, and he
No,
would be
she
the
would
sec-
be the
Oh, no,
secretary.
she'd
No,
be the
she'd be the
secretary, he'd be the
secretary.
assistant,
Right.
and that way there wouldn't be a problem, because Dunn can't say anything about that, and then that way the problem's solved, and it doesn't require a change to the bylaws.
How
The
about
change of the
a-
bylaws, you have to move heaven and earth to change the bylaws. It takes
Exactly.
6 months anyway.
6 months. The last time it took 4 years, and then when we sent them in, they never did approve them. They put their own in there. But the bottom line is, it takes a long time. So if we do that, if we
It
make
requires
Stacy the
2/3 of the
secretary
board.
and John the assistant, that should solve the problem.
They don't have to approve our bylaws.
No, they don't.
We have to
We
approve our
have to do it,
bylaws.
yeah. But they don't also have to
No,
accept
they have
them.
to approve it's within the guidelines of the charter.
Yeah.
No,
Well,
no.
Well, I mean,
We
we can
have-
put whatever the hell we want.
We have the bylaws. If we want to change the term limits of the bylaws, that's up to us.
yeah. Not them.
In other words, we can change the terms to say that a board member and the executive board member can serve for 25 years.
Absolutely,
The problem is they.
absolutely.
And you
when you
think
do
the
something
city's
like
gonna
that-
agree with you?
No, because when you do something like that, they hold up your ability to utilize bylaws written like that. So, they're not supposed to
So
approve or
at the end of the
disapprove, but they
day-
do that.
Yes, we can change the bylaws, but still have to be approved by Dunn.
Correct. Bottom line, they're gonna hassle you. So,
Yes.
to make it easy, so you don't have to change them, assistant, secretary, and we're done.
How about secretary one and secretary two?
Whatever. No, seriously, I think it has to be assistant. But the best part about that is, John still gets to help with the stuff that he knows really well, helps to train her in what she needs to know, and we get good minutes that get filed right away.
And
We
I
don't
wanna
get yelled at
remind
because
you
she's
again,
really
John,
good with a computer.
We
She's a
voted,
kid.
we voted 3 months ago.
Right.
Or whatever it was,
You grew up with those things. You're
to extend your
Let's-
term for
let's-
another term, remember?
One
It's
person
not-
talking at a
but
time.
We're going about.
The whole board
because
voted for
I-
it.
yeah. Yeah, they
Well,
did.
their office
You could do it in your sleep.
I'm not
Your eyes
desperate to
closed.
fight a desperate war on this, but I'm
No.
getting different opinions.
Yeah.
I have my own opinion from the city attorney, and
Just give
how am I to tell?
But I'm saying, the
How
board,
am I
the
to tell
whole
what's going on
board
down?
voted to extend the term, another term for you.
And.
But the problem
and
No,
is.
they
another
did
thing,
not.
we're
Right.
making a lot
They
about all
voted
these
him as a
different opinions, and
secretary,
there are
not
only
to
three-
extend the term.
Right,
city
right,
attorneys.
and that was why there was a problem. If we'd have voted to extend, we might have gotten away with it. But we just voted to keep him in as secretary, and they said, hell no, how many years is he gonna do it? 25 years? So no, they got
That's
really
the
pissed
problem.
off. Exactly, they got
Let me
really
make
pissed
one
off.
other thing, I am not desperate to fight to the ends of the earth, I am not desperate to sue anybody on this. I just,
Get you in there.
as
Well,
I
the
say,
board also has
want a
opinions.
better discussion
So,
of this
how are
that
we gonna
makes
change that?
sense. And I
That's
still
never gonna
may
happen.
walk out at the end, because
Never gonna make
I have
sense.
other reasons to be a little tired, so.
Oh, whoops. Well, we're all a little tired.
Well,
Sounds
it's on the agenda, we'll see what Charles and Daniel come up with on Thursday, and, then we'll argue about it next week.
But how will I know they don't have my copy of what the city attorney wrote me?
We'll get them your copy.
Email it to
Okay,
them.
I will get it to
email
them.
How hard is that?
That shows the kind of,
I don't understand.
if you want a process, you have to have it.
Yeah, well, yeah, they need to know
I
what
think at the end of the day, you have to do what's ever best for the board. You
Exactly.
shouldn't look for individual needs or what's good for you, whatever is good for the board. I mean, we're all here for the same reason.
Yeah,
Should be
help
the
our neighborhood.
reason for the city of Van Nuys. Whatever
Right.
it's good for the city, whatever it's good for the board, that's what we should do, not what's good for each individual guy.
There you go. Well said.
Moving on,
didn't
holiday
vote on it.
decorations are in storage,
Oh.
and, they
Wait a
need to
minute.
be installed, yes.
He said we didn't vote on that, so do you wanna?
Okay, the language that we had is the VNNC to receive advice from Dunn, the city attorney's office, and the Government Affairs and Bylaws Committee on the secretary's position. The VNNC to accept the recommendations and act on their response.
A
Okay.
question, who's gonna provide the city attorney response? Are we really thinking we're gonna get a city attorney or that person, or?
You
Jeff
did.
got something out of the
Jeff
city attorney's
got,
office.
and,
Look,
Benjamin
Jay,
got.
this isn't like a witch hunt. There's
What did
nobody
yours
that's-
say, John? What did yours say?
Mine said about that you could have a waiver vote and continue, so. I got that.
We're not
from-
in, we're not in, that has nothing to do with anything. We
No,
could
it said the
waiver vote, we
secretary
could
could get a
waiver
waiver
vote
vote.
anything. The point is that the city attorney said that we must adhere to the bylaws unless we change the bylaws, which is exactly what you're saying. That's what Jeff got, that's what I got, that's what you got, that's what everybody got. We're all in agreement.
Yeah.
At the
Said
end of
you
the
need to
day, those are the laws.
agendize the waiver vote. You could vote it down.
You can't agendize the waiver vote until the
Government Relations Committee
until
meets.
the bylaws committee meets
Right.
and says that they want to introduce a bill to create a waiver,
Yeah.
That isn't, mine came from Martin. Mr.
a waiver
Martinez.
vote.
Yeah,
A waiver
because
of,
thinking differently on different
section
things.
4, officers' terms. Officers shall serve a term of 2 years. An officer may hold the same office for a maximum of 2 consecutive terms. However, no person shall remain on the executive board committee for more than 5 consecutive terms.
Okay.
Section 4, Article 6,
And a waiver vote would be a vote to do what?
to amend that.
Amend it or waive it?
You have to, A, create an amendment to the bylaws,
Yeah.
and B,
Yeah.
create a vote to waive the amendment. You
No,
have-
to waive the bylaws
the
as they
waive-
are
To
and to
waive the
accept the
bylaws
amendment.
and create a waiver.
Right.
All right, well, once you've amended the bylaws, there's nothing to waive.
Correct.
Correct, okay.
But that's what we're saying, it's either it's gotta be amended and.
The bylaws
everybody
have
has
to
accept
be
it.
amended
Or-
if John will stay on.
And
Yeah.
it would, you know, and it would apply to anybody, it's not about John, right?
No, it's section 4, it's an officer's term.
Right.
We're
In this case,
talking
it is
about an
about the officer.
officer's term.
So that would apply to any officer.
Any officer in
It's
the.
Howard and I are
me,
done.
George, myself,
With our
But
positions.
that's your decision, right?
No, but we're termed out.
no, we're termed out.
Okay.
We've been termed out
So if we
because
amended
we
it,
have
you stay?
served 4 years.
If you ask me to stay, I'll go. Ask us to stay and we'll leave.
If elected, you will not,
Yes,
serve,
yes.
You will not-
Sherman
you
asks-
will-
We're adhering to the bylaws as they sit.
Yeah,
There's no ifs, ands, or buts.
All right, well, let's see what the Government Affairs Committee comes up with.
all right.
But, I mean, it's pretty simple, if we're going off our own bylaws. So, did we vote on that, or are we still in
No,
a
not
holding
yet.
pattern?
All right, if you
Thomas?
are going to
Yes.
amend this, you have to amend Article 6, officers,
The whole thing, yeah.
Section 4, officers' terms. That's what you'd be amending.
Vote.
I voted yes for yes.
Okay, Mr. Benjamin,
Yes.
Mr. Hendry, yes, Ms. Ha,
Yes,
Mr. Lazarovis.
Yes.
All right, very good. Next up, the holiday decorations in storage, in our storage unit, and those held by Nationwide Sign need to be installed along Van Nuys Boulevard. The decorations held by Nationwide did not burn up in the fire and are available according to the owner, Mario. Should we establish an ad hoc committee to put up the decorations? Should we put up the decorations? It's crunch time, people, we're in
yeah,
November.
exactly.
Yeah, these are banners, these are wreaths, these are lighted pieces of holiday memorabilia.
Lighted? It needs to be plugged in?
There are, I believe, 6
solar
lighted
powered.
units
Yeah.
that can be attached to power poles.
Yeah,
All the rest of them are just,
generic. I mean,
How
they're
many
not-
do we
they're not
have?
powered.
I don't know. I know what we
So-
have in the storage unit.
What
I don't know
was,
what
uh,
Nationwide is holding.
What do
We were
just-
told that the Nationwide stuff burned up in a fire.
But they claim
I
that they
contacted
have it.
him, he said, no, I got them.
So what it would take for us to hang them?
We
Pay
cannot hang
No,
them.
no,
Pay
can
them
we,
to do it?
can we pay them to do it?
We have to pay them to do it.
How much?
And I don't know. And also,
It's
we
not
have
cheap.
to put time limits on what we're paying this guy.
Yeah,
Because
'cause
it's,
he ripped
it's
us
going
off
to
last
be,
time.
it's gotta go through Dunn.
Why, he fleeced us last time, or
Yeah,
what?
he was the one that.
He was the
that
one
took
that
us to the
hung them 3
cleaners
days before the holidays and then took them
Oh.
down.
And
when he
asked
was
to be
paid in
ahead
full.
of time because of his fire. So we paid him ahead of time, and it was only supposed to be half the payment, but he got the whole thing ahead of time, 6 or 8
So
weeks
should we
ahead
go
of time.
pull all this
and then
stuff out
put
of
him up 3
storage
days
next
early.
Wednesday before the meeting and then have him come and get it, or how do you
No.
wanna work this?
No, we're gonna have to meet with him.
Should we
Yeah.
account how much does that guy have as far as how many?
Yeah, I'd
Yeah,
like to know.
obviously.
Well, let's find out, the holidays are around the corner.
Well, that's the point. We want it up ASAP and
We
not
want
pay him
them
a lot of
up,
money
we
to
want
have.
them up before
nothing.
Thanksgiving.
Yes, there you
Well,
go.
if we want them up, then we have to act on this now.
Exactly.
Obviously, that's why
That's the
we're
point.
What are we gonna do?
agendizing
We
it.
wanna,
Put it on the agenda and
so
then
then,
vote not to
the language
exceed.
I have is the holiday decorations in storage, in our own storage unit and those held by Nationwide need to be installed along Van Nuys Boulevard. The decorations, did not burn up in the fire and are available according to the owner. The VNNC to establish an ad hoc committee to put up the banners, wreaths, lighted units, etc., not to exceed $2,000?
Yes,
Yeah, sounds good.
Alright,
And by the
so,
way, we can't,
that's the
you can
language on the
establish an
floor.
ad hoc, but they can't hang it. He's the only one that can't.
Well,
I understand for
City
insurance
permit.
reasons and everything else.
Exactly. City
So
permit
with that,
insurance.
do I have a second on that?
Second.
Alright, I call for the vote, Mr. Secretary.
Ow.
President Thomas.
Yes.
Vice President Benjamin.
yes.
Secretary Hendry, aye. Treasurer Ha.
Aye.
Mr. Lazarovis.
Aye.
Pass.
Alright, next up, all stakeholders wishing to run for the 2 empty seats on our board must file paperwork so they can be vetted, prior to the board vote. Please note that we have Steve Friedman, before us, as well as
No, that's not, you know about the Friedman. Never mind.
Jason Ackerman.
Has he filed?
I don't think we have his paperwork yet.
He might have a conflict because he's on the Encino board.
Yeah, and then he
And
also.
then
was
Rosemary
the other,
Jenkins
so-
wanted to sit on the,
We have to have her paperwork.
Yeah,
and then, the 2 Persian gentlemen, they both were interested in serving. What are their names?
Simon and Moisha
Moshe and
Vabibian.
Simon.
Yep, and then there was one other person that was interested. I can't remember who that
Wow.
was. But Same
never
thing,
had so
we'll
much
do,
interest.
it's gonna be the same protocol as before, you have to come to 3 meetings,
Mm-hmm.
the paperwork has to be before us.
Have to be approved.
And we need to really thoroughly investigate this time. We don't want another Matty Asgharian. Oh, God help us.
Okay,
we'll just
so,
hope that-
do we have Steve Friedman's,
Huh?
Yes.
okay,
What are
and
the-
has he
what are
been
the
You
there
have
for
two
3
board
meetings?
positions. You have renter at large and you have commercial number 1.
Where do you live?
So,
Do you rent?
Yeah,
Well, then you need to get an application and,
what are the positions, or what's your?
commercial.
Oh,
That would be if you own a business in the hood. You
Okay.
don't have to live here, just work here. So it's one or the other.
so you wanna just put this on the agenda to reiterate what we're doing, and then also agendize the vote for Mr. Friedman, or has he come to 3 meetings?
I don't think we can.
The next meeting will be 3 meetings.
Yeah.
I only saw him once.
Oh,
Friedman?
don't look at me.
Yeah.
I think he only went once.
That's what I said.
Oh,
he
I'm
needs to come
thinking that
more.
he went to our.
No, he's gotta
plum
come to
committee.
3 general
It
meetings.
would be like 3 general meetings?
Yeah.
Yeah, he only been to one.
Okay.
Okay, then he needs
So
two
then,
more.
There's nothing
let's
to
just
put
put this
on
on the agenda as it is, all stakeholders
We
wishing
couldn't
to
do it
run
till
for the
December.
empty seats must file paperwork, so they can be vetted prior to a board vote. That's good enough for me.
Yep,
Seconded.
Gotta make sure that you put down, you have to come to 3 meetings.
Well, that's
Yeah.
that's
I'll
already
tell you.
a standing rule,
he noted
okay?
it. Yeah,
Also, we'll just put it in the language,
yeah, put it
also,
in there so they know.
prospective VNNC members must come to 3
Give that to
meetings.
Kathleen.
All right, I call for the vote.
President Thomas?
Yes.
Okay, Vice President Benjamin?
Yes.
Secretary Hendry, aye. Treasurer Hop?
Aye.
Mr. Les Roberts?
Aye.
Very good. Howard, you had medical first aid kits that you want us
Yeah.
to buy? Can you brief
Ooh,
the?
good.
Yeah, I was approached by a company called Reliable Medical Supply Center. They have a myriad of different things. I'm going to ask her to come to the meeting so that she can brief us on this. They have mini kits for $2.50. They have travel first aid kits at $8.99. Portable kits, first aid kits for $8.99. Small first aid kits for $70.
That's a lot.
First aid mediums for $99. First aid large for $124.99. Earthquake small for $119.99. Earthquake medium for $145.99. And earthquake large for $199.99. They have cabinets that you can buy, 3 shelf cabinets for $130, 4 shelves for $138, and 5 shelves for $255. I'm going to ask her to come to just present. I think that we should probably buy a bunch of the little mini ones for
$250?
$250
Well,
Yeah,
we're
that's
doing
what
it.
I was gonna say,
What we're
'cause the
gonna
rest
do
of
with
them.
and
Give them out
distribute
at
them
each other and
at the preparedness
You know,
events.